Hello everybody. I was inspired to make this video by an old 8mm black and white silent film that I came across in a store, and it is called My Son the Vampire, it says, with Bela Lugosi. Now, there's a bit of a history, so I figured I'd give you the history of this movie and tell you why I picked this up. And first I'll tell you about the history, and I'll show you some different versions of this that it's released and why I like this. The reason I picked this up, I had this as a child, okay? When I was a kid, I had this for an 8mm projector. Although this is an 8mm copy, the copy that I had back in like around, I don't know, 1975 or something like that, was a Super 8. This is standard 8mm. For those who don't know, they used to come in boxes like this, and you had about, I don't know, 8, 9, 10 minutes long reels of silent footage, excerpts from the actual movie with subtitles, because there's no sound. Some of them did come with sound. You could get these in sound versions too sometimes, but us kids of the 70s, and I guess kids of the 60s as well, would amass a collection of these things. Before they had VHS tapes, before they had DVDs, Laserdiscs, Blu-ray, 4K, and all that, that's what you had, just a little 10-minute version. And it was good enough. You put it on the projector, watch it on a screen or on a nice white wall, and there you have it. My Son the Vampire, it's called. Now, the history of this movie, to start with, it was not called My Son the Vampire originally. Bela Lugosi in the early 1950s was on kind of hard times, and he went to England to do a stage play of Dracula. That play was a failure, and then he didn't have any money. He was kind of broke, didn't have enough money to get home from England. So a producer, Robert Gordon, arranged for him to be in a movie in 1952 that was called originally, and I have this on another VHS tape, Old Mother Riley Meets the Vampire. And what we had here, as you can see in the picture, was a Bela Lugosi alongside a British actor called Arthur Lucan. And Arthur Lucan was an actor who had made, I think, 17 of these films. It was a series where he played an old, kind of silly Irish comedic washerwoman lady and drag. He put the drag on, and there's another picture from the Lugosi movie there, and called herself Mother Riley. And Mother Riley, like I said, there were 17 films. I've only ever seen the Lugosi one, and this other one that was on a double feature here. This one on the bottom, it's a double feature. It's called Old Mother Riley, Head Mistress. And this one was a pretty lousy movie. I couldn't enjoy it. Tried it once, maybe I'll try it again, but I couldn't enjoy it. But anyway, so yeah, the movie was called Old Mother Riley Meets the Vampire, or just Mother Riley Meets the Vampire. And it was released in England, and it flopped. It didn't do well, the movie. It was a comedy with Lugosi in it, and after which it had another title. They tried calling it Vampire Over London, and the movie had, I think, a song in it, for sure. There was a kind of silly little song that Mother Riley sang in it. And it didn't come to the United States until 1963, I believe. So that's like 11 years after it was made, and after Bela Lugosi had passed away already. And it came out on a DVD, an early DVD in the DVD game here, which I picked up right away, with the title My Son the Vampire. When I grew up on TV, that's how it was shown, with that title, My Son the Vampire. And My Son the Vampire was kind of a joke because Alan Sherman was hired to do a theme song for the movie. There's a lot of My Son the Folk Singer. He did an album of that. He did the song Hello Mother, Hello Father. You might know of Alan Sherman. He does silly songs. So he made a song for the title. They retitled it for American audiences, My Son the Vampire. Used Alan Sherman to make the theme song and sing it, which is a funny song. I think it's fun, the theme song. And that's how I saw it on television, My Son the Vampire. This is how most Americans saw it. This is a pretty good DVD. However, I told you there was a song in the middle of it where Mother Riley sings it. And it's not a very good song. It's supposed to be funny. It's a comedy. You know, this is not. This is a comedy. It's like a series of comedies. These films, but the version of My Son the Vampire omits the song that she sings, which a lot of people would say is a good thing. You know, much to everybody's relief and advantage, you don't have the song in it. But yeah, I couldn't help pick this up, the film version on 8mm, and I have this DVD, and also this other one which has the original footage in it with the song and all. And the quality is not as good as it is on this. This is a film. If you want to see this on physical media, I don't think you're going to do better than looking up an old copy of this. This is long out of print. You can't find this. It needs to be remastered and restored and come out again by somebody who cares. That's not likely to happen. Now that I've spent 6 minutes on this, let me tell you about the movie itself. It is not a good movie. It is not one of Bela Lugosi's best movies. However, I would say that it's Bela Lugosi's, probably his best movie from the 1950s. He died in 1956, and he made movies like Bride of the Monster for Ed Wood. He made movies like Bela Lugosi Meets a Brooklyn Gorilla in 1952 also, which was also not good. But, for those of us who like Lugosi, we appreciate movies, anything he's in. He elevates anything he's in. And I gotta say, in this movie, he makes it worth watching. If Bela Lugosi was not in this movie, there'd be no reason to watch it. Okay? But the idea is that Bela Lugosi, although it's called My Son the Vampire, he's not playing a vampire. And supposedly the reason for that was because they figured that if he was a vampire in the movie, a lot of children wouldn't be able to watch it. So they kind of said that his character is basically a scientist and a gangster kind of type, scientist/gangster, who kind of acts like a vampire. He dresses like a vampire. He likes to sleep in a coffin like a vampire, may even drink blood like a vampire, but he's technically not a vampire. He's just a criminal who's known as his name is the Vampire. His character's name is Van Heusen. All right, so Van Heusen here decides that he's going to conquer the world as a scientist by building an army of, as he says, 50,000 robots. I intend on building 50,000 robots. And the man says to him, how many have you built so far? And he goes, one. He's only got one built so far. And he's looking forward to getting the prototype of this robot sent to his laboratory. But by accident, guess who gets the robot? They have a mixed communication there in the mailing shipping system. And Mother Riley gets sent the robot, and things get worse from there. And he gets Lugosi gets Mother Riley's package, and she gets his. Well, after that, they wind up meeting, and there's some mild hijinks in here, there's slapstick in here. I think that it has a few laughs. It's, as I say, this is no great comedy, this is no great horror film, but if you want to see Lugosi in one of his last roles where he kind of really tries and he's really into the role, seems to be having a good time, seems very healthy and robust. After that, he would be succumbing to drug addiction and going in to check himself into the hospital to get cured. But in this particular movie, I think this is maybe his last hurrah, so to speak. It's worth seeing. I really believe that, especially if you're fans of Lugosi. Well, let me rephrase that. It's worth seeing only if you're interested in Bela Lugosi. There's no other reason. You could skip it easy. But it's got a little humor in it, and a little humor. But yeah, I chuckle a few times in this, So this is the version. My Son the Vampire does not have this Mother Riley song in it. But if you find another version, Vampire Over London or Mother Riley Meets the Vampire, those may be more intact and having the song, if you even want it. There you go. I hope you enjoyed this weird little video.